We passed a resolution today unanimously that did two things. First of all, it applauded the announcement yesterday from President Trump and President Juncker that they were going to engage in talks to de-escalate the tariff situation, which is welcome news for everybody here. And then secondly, to call on them and all the countries impacted to continue timely dialogue to remove these tariffs as quick as possible, especially those on spirits exports.
The tariffs are in place right now. They recently went into place, right? 25% tariffs from Europe. When did that hit, and what kind of impact are the distillers seeing?
25% from Europe. Well, our larger distillers haven't seen much of an impact yet because most of them had the privilege of stockpiling some of their products overseas because they are such large exporters. That really gives them a little bit of a cushion. But we've already heard, in fact, today from the American Craft Spirits Association that it's really having a short-term effect on our smaller craft distillers in the United States, many of whom are just getting into the export game. They're already, are trying to get into the export markets and kind of, open the door for themselves. And some of them are having things canceled on them. They have been investing a lot recently, especially with the gains they had in the excise tax reduction and the tax bill, and now they've got nowhere to sell their product and really expand their bottles. So, from a long-term perspective, that was what we were mainly concerned about, is escalation of this trade issue. So we're very happy to see that that appears to be moving towards de-escalation.
What percent of Kentucky whiskey is sent overseas, just as a general percent, and what does that translate to in terms of dollar volume? Number one. And number two, you must be pleased that it looks like there is a truce with respect to tariffs in Europe, and that those tariffs will be suspended, at least for now. I note that the UK, Germany, and Spain are three of the biggest markets for Kentucky spirits.
That's absolutely correct. And yes, there was a lot of optimism in the room today when we met from all 9 organizations. Kentucky exported about $450 million of bourbon last year, and about almost half of that went to EU countries. And it's been rising more than 10% over the past 5 years. And in fact, from 2016 to 2017, it rose about 23%. So that's really been a growing market for us. And it's part of the reason why we're in the middle of a $1.2 billion building boom here in Kentucky, building new distilleries, state-of-the-art tourism centers, bottling lines, and you name it, to really meet that growing global thirst for Kentucky bourbon.
At what point, Eric, do distillers have to decide at what point do they have to decide, hey, I'm not going to distill as much whiskey because I think the future demand will be dented by tariffs?
Well, each distillery will have to make that decision on their own. The blessing and the curse of Kentucky bourbon is you can't make it overnight. So the bourbon that's hitting the shelves right now, was produced 6, 8, 10, or 12 years ago. So each company will be looking to see how much inventory they have here in Kentucky, how much that was designated for the overseas market, and then make a determination, sometime in the next 6 months to whether or not they're going to have to cut back on their production, which really then starts a trickle-down effect that could impact our hardworking farm families, our cooperages, our hospitality industry, and you name it, because we've really been building such a great market here in Kentucky in the last 10 years. Production's up over 250%. We've really been hating to see, this unexpected twist come our way, because it's kind of, really been a cold blanket on that momentum.